Good morning, Jacob here. Alright, so today I'm starting to think about the rosette and how I'm going to lay that out. Now I've already taken my rosette jig and I have placed in that some black-white purfling lines. And they come in long strips. They're basically real thin. It's really hard for this to focus on that, but it's a really thin, maybe 1 millimeter black on one side, white on the other, and I guess about 2.5 millimeters deep. Okay, and these come in long strips, 3-4 feet long, that you can do purfling around the edge of the guitar. I really like them to add accent to rosettes. You can get them in other colors if you want. It's kind of a fiber paper material. It does cut easy. It glues in easy. Anyway, I'm setting that up, starting to think about this. I've already begun. I should preface, I don't do your traditional Spanish rosette, making little tiles out of very tiny strips of wood. I tend to lay out larger pieces, and you can see I've already started to cut or mark a circle area on these, and they're just different colored pieces of wood. And I've done that with a couple of different pieces. I'm about to do that again with another one. I'll bring you down here where you can see what I'm up to. But basically I've got a piece of wood with a hole in it, and I have, get this focused where I want it, right? And I have a piece of wood with a hole in it. That's my reference point. I've got another piece of wood. I've already marked one section over here that I want, but I want some more of this particular wood because it's the same wood that I'm using on my headstock. I like there to be some consistency in my design, so if you're taking notes, you need that right off the bat there. I have this right here. This is a circle cutter that I've made. I've got my reference pin down here, blade on this end. This is adjustable through the center, goes through there, and I can lock it down with this screw on top. You can use whatever you want. You can buy circle cutters, but maybe at your local hardware store. And I've got just a little blade in here. It's held in with friction. I just smack the top of that. It's got a pin, and this is actually a blade from a little jigsaw that I've sharpened to a point here that allows me, and I don't know if I can get it to focus on that little point. Yeah, it's just a little point. Now I also have reference pins in the bottom here because I have an attachment that I put on the bottom of this so that I can then mark purfling lines around the side of the guitar. We're not on that right now. So basically I'm holding my piece of wood down here. I've got this in here. I've set it up to the minimum circle, and I'm just going to scribe that line. I don't have to go real deep. I just need a line there, because what I will end up doing is I will end up cutting that out with a saw, and I just need a line to follow to do that. So there's my first line. It's the inside of my circle. I'm referencing off of my jig so that all of these have the same lines. So now I'm going to do the outside line. So I've got to adjust my circle cutter here. Double check. I felt like that moved. Oh, we're good. Set it back in my pinpoint, scribe my outside line and my outside diameter. Inside and outside diameters are going to be different. You can't use the same one, right? So in other words, you can't just move your piece of wood. You have to keep your piece of wood stationary. Alright, so now got my wood. I have scribed two sides of that because I want a little bit more of this particular wood in my rosette. Now, that circle if I were to come around here, I could then place these, and I could make myself a rosette circle with my scribed lines. So I know I probably have enough material for this particular rosette. I've got some varying colors of wood. I'm also going to add, I have a little block of wood here that I'll do a little bit different piece. I'm going to be cutting off little chunks off of the end here and then tapering those or slicing them in half to use as borders and a little bit of a break of the colors to, you know, add a little bit of decoration to it. And another thing I haven't decided on is I have a block that I used previously where I've glued up a couple of pieces of wood and then tapered it, and I can cut off little chunks of this off the top and make a unique design too. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use that or not, but I might. So on to the next step. Okay, welcome to the second part here of rosette making. I now have my pieces laid out and you can see my scribed lines that I'm going to need to cut with. So what I've done is I've come down here to my bench, down real close, brought you in close. I've got myself a saw with a very fine tooth blade on it. You could do this with a regular coping saw, at least for this material that I've got right now, because this material is just a little bit on the thick side. If you're working with really thin material, you should probably use one of these so that you don't break it out too much, at least to get this line done. You could then, if your material is thin enough, just use a chisel to mark out the little pieces if you're going to do little tiles out of that, or whatever you're up to. I'm going to bring you down here where I am. I've got myself set up right underneath under my arm here a nice little jig for cutting inlay on. It's a nice, pretty flat piece of wood. It's pretty sturdy. I've got a V cut in it. These don't last forever, you know, use a piece of scrap or something like that. But essentially, you need something where you can set your piece to be cut over that V, and then you're going to be moving up and down with the saw to try to cut that out. And so there's going to see if I can describe my line here. Let me use this one here. And your idea is to go straight down your line. So move my saw up and down, follow my line as close as possible. There's one line cut. Now notice it's not exactly right. I'm going to have to use some sandpaper to clean that up just a little bit, right? Especially on this edge, because I didn't have my line, my scribe line all the way to the end. So I've got to make sure that that matches with the rest of it. I'm going to go ahead and cut out this other line on the other side. It shouldn't take me near as long. You'll notice that while I'm doing this, I'm trying to blow away the dust on the top so I can continue to see my line. And I'm trying to keep my inlay material flat against my surface here, so that it doesn't jump up and down on me and potentially break as I go. If I'm starting a line here, I can actually push it up against that line, up against the back, so that my saw blade is supported. And you're going to try to keep my saw up and down, straight up and down. I can You can turn the saw to follow your line, but it's easier actually to turn the piece and keep your saw steady if you can manage that. Also, wood and other materials have soft spots and harder spots. So you got to pay attention to what's going on. See, like right there was a very soft spot, so I went through that area really quickly. So you just really concentrate and follow the line. Whereas some of this area seems to be a little harder. If you're wondering about the color of this wood has some mineral staining in it, which is why it is the color it is. It has a little blue-gray color, and that's what it is. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do that same process with my other 3 pieces of wood so that I come up with some more of these. You're going to get quite dusty doing this. If you're doing a bunch of pearl and bone with this particular operation, or woods that might have a lot of spalt or punk in it, like I might for this piece of wood, which has some coloring and stuff from maybe some spalt. I probably will wear a mask and blow away the dust with something else, because I don't want to get that in my lungs. You don't want to get what could potentially be mold spores or bone dust in, or sharp shell dust in your lungs if you can help it. So I'll go ahead and do those off camera, and we'll meet you back when I've got all those done.